The courtyard was quiet, too quiet for Shinobu's laughter to echo the way it did. Giyu stopped just short of the Angawa when he heard it. Soft, familiar, not meant for him. "Careful," Obani murmured, his voice low. "If anyone sees." Shinobu's laugh cut him off. "Then don't look so guilty, Obanao-san." Giyu watched from the shadow of the wisteria trees. My Shinobu reached out, fingers brushing, Obane's sleeve lingering longer than necessary. Obane stiffened, eyes flicking around the courtyard, but he didn't pull away. Instead, he leaned closer, his voice dropping to something private, intimate. "You shouldn't be here with me like this," he said. "And yet," Shinobu replied lightly, tilting her head, "you came anyway." Obane exhaled through his bandages. "What would Tomioka say if he saw you now?" Shinobu smiled, not her polite public smile, but the softer one she never gave easily. "He won't," she said. "He never looks." That was when Giyu stepped back, the sound of gravel crunching beneath his sandal, far louder than it should have been. Shinobu didn't turn around, Obane did, and that more than anything made it feel like a betrayal. G didn't leave. He should have. He knew that. Every instinct told him to turn comma, to walk back into the quiet, to pretend he hadn't seen the way. Obanai's shoulders had tensed, or the way Shinobu's voice had gone almost gentle. Instead, he stepped forward. "Shinobu." Her name cut through the air, like a blade. She turned then, slowly. Too slowly. Her smile was already in place, neat and composed, as if she hadn't been standing far too close to another man. Only seconds before. "Tomioka-san," she said. "You're back early." Obane straightened, creating distance at last. But it felt rehearsed, like a gesture made too late to matter. His gaze flicked between them, calm, sharp and unreadable. "I should go," Abana muttered. Shinobu didn't stop him. That, more than anything, settled something cold, and heavy in Giyu's chest. Obane passed by him, close enough that Giyu could hear the quiet warning in his voice. "This isn't what it looks like," he said. Giyu didn't respond. He didn't trust himself to. When Obane disappeared, down the path the courtyard felt emptier and louder all at once. Shinobu folded her hands behind her back. "You're staring," she said lightly. "I saw you," Giyu replied. Her smile twitched, just barely. "Saw what?" The way you looked at him, a pause. Then she laughed, soft, almost fond. "You make it sound so serious." "It was," Giyu said. "To me." That finally wiped the smile from her face. "You weren't meant to be here," she said. And there it was, something defensive, something sharp. "That was a conversation, nothing more." "With his sleeve in your hand?" Giyu asked quietly. "With your voice like that?" Silence stretched between them. Shinobu looked away first. "You're always so distant," she said. "So quiet. Sometimes I wonder if you'd even notice if I wasn't." "I noticed," Giyu said. "I always notice." She glanced back at him then, eyes unreadable. "And yet," she murmured, echoing her earlier words, "you never say anything." The words landed like a wound that didn't bleed, but hurt all the same. Giyu clenched his fist at his side. "If you wanted someone else," he said, "you should have told me." Shinobu stepped closer, not touching him. "Not quite. And if I say I don't?" she asked. He met her gaze. "Then why did it look like that?" For the first time, Shinobu didn't have an answer ready. And that uncertainty, small, fleeting, hurt worse than the truth might have. Shinobu broke the silence first. You're imagining things, she said. Too quickly. You always do that. Fill the quiet with things that aren't there. Giyu shook his head. I didn't imagine Obane looking like he'd been caught. Her eyes sharpened. You don't know him? I know what I saw. Double quotes. Another pause. Longer this time. Shinobu sighed and stepped past him, brushing his sleeve as she went. The contact was light, almost careless, but it sent a jolt through him anyway. You're tired, she said moving toward the corridor. Go rest. That was it. No apology, no explanation. Shinobu, Giyu called after her. She stopped, but didn't turn around. Say it plainly, he said. If there's something between you and Obani, say it. Her shoulders tensed. There are things, she replied slowly, that don't need names. The words hollowed him out. She walked away. Before he could respond, the next day, the whispers started. Giyu heard them without meaning to. Hashira voices carried too easily in the halls. Saw Kocho with IG Euro again last night. They were talking for a long time. He looked furious when someone passed by. Zu kept walking, kept his face blank, but each word landed like a strike. Later he found Obanai near the training grounds, coiling his bandages with more force than necessary. You, Giyu said. Obani froze. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Obani clicked his tongue. If you're here to accuse, I'm here to understand, Giyu cut in. Because she won't tell me. Obani's eyes narrowed. And you think I will? You already have, Giyu said quietly. Just not with words. That hit something. Obane turned away, jaw tight. You're not as oblivious as she thinks. So it is something, Giyu pressed. Obane hesitated. That hesitation was an answer. She comes to me when she's frustrated. Obaya. An AI said at last. When she feels unseen, I didn't seek her out. Giyu's chest ached, but you didn't stop it. No, Obani admitted. I didn't. Silence fell between them, thick and heavy. She still chooses you, Obane added, almost bitterly. At least, that's what she says. Giyu looked away. People don't say that if they're certain. Obane didn't argue. That evening, Giyu stood outside Shinobu's room, hand raised to knock. Through the paper door, her voice drifted out, soft, low, unmistakably tired. You shouldn't be here so often, she said. Obanai's voice answered, just as quiet. Then tell me to stop. A pause. I can't, Shinobu said. Giyu's hand fell to his side. He stepped back into the corridor, the lantern light blurring as something finally, painfully clear settled in his chest. Whether Shinobu called it cheating or not, she was already slipping away. Shinobu broke the silence first. Do didn single quotes remember knocking. He only remembered the door sliding open and Shinobu freezing when she saw him standing there. You heard, she said quietly. Enough, Zia replied. For once, she didn't deflect, didn't smile. She stepped aside and let him in. The room smelled faintly of herbs and ink. On the low table sat papers hastily stacked. A small wooden box hidden beneath a cloth. Shinobu noticed his eyes flick there and reached for it too quickly. I was going to wait, she said. I wanted it to be right. Giyu's voice was flat. Was Obeni part of that too? She winced. Yes. Silence stretched. Dangerous. Heavy. Shinobu drew a breath. It's your birthday. In 3 days. He blinked. You never. I know, she interrupted softly. You never make a fuss. That's why I did. She uncovered the box and pushed it toward him. Inside lay a carefully restored water pattern. Char mold, rare, the kind no merchant carried openly anymore. Obane helped me find it, she said. He knows people. He notices details. I asked him because I wanted it to be perfect. Giyu stared at it, throat tight. Then why'd it look like that? Shinobu hesitated. Because, she admitted, I didn't want you to know. And because Obane worries too much about appearances, and because... She trailed off, fingers tightening at her sleeve. Because what? Giyu asked. She looked up at him, eyes sharp but tired, because sometimes it's easier to plan something with someone who talks back. The words weren't cruel, but they weren't gentle either. You could have told me, Giyu said. Yes, she agreed. I could have. Instead, he continued, you let me think. I didn't let you, she said, too quickly again. Then quieter. I just didn't stop it. That was the problem. She stepped closer, placing the box back into his hands. It was meant to make you happy. That's the truth. Giyu looked at the charm, at the care, the effort. Then he looked at her. Truth can still hurt, he said. Shinobu's smile returned, small, brittle. You always were good, at noticing that. Neither of them, mentioned Obane again. Neither of them said, the obvious thing out loud, that even if it was a surprise, it had crossed a line. That couldn't quite be redrawn. And birthdays, after all, only come once a year. The doubt would last much longer. The rumors didn't start loudly. They never do. At first, it was just looks. Too many pauses when Giyu entered a room. Conversations, that stopped half a second too late. Then came the whispers, slipping through the butterfly estate like mist. Heard Iguro's been, spending nights there, double quotes. No, someone saw them arguing. Lovers quarrel, apparently. They say Tomioka doesn't even know. By the third day, the story had grown teeth. Shinobu heard it from Aoi, who stood rigid in the hallway, hands clenched at her sides. They're saying you and Agiro-san were, seen leaving the estate together, late, that it's been going, on for months. Shinobu's smile deadened. Single quotes did not reach her eyes. That's impressive, she said lightly, considering it's not true. But rumors don't care about truth. They care about patterns. And Shinobu and Oba Nei had given them plenty. You heard her's worse. He found out on his birthday, didn't he? No wonder he's been quiet. Anyone would be. I heard Iguro's already chosen her over Kanroji. That one made Giyu stop walking. Obane, meanwhile, looked ready to strangle someone. This has gone too far, he snapped when Shanobu confronted him. People are saying I sabotaged your relationship on purpose. Did you? Asked Shinobu. No, answered Obane. Still neither of them denied the rumors publicly. And silence, as always, was taken as confirmation. The worst part came when Giyu overheard something he wasn't meant to. Two slayers near the training grounds. Voices hushed but careless. They say the birthday gift was just a cover. Yeah, a way to explain being caught. Poor Tomioka. Trusting idiot. Something inside Giyu went very still. That night, Shinobu found him sitting alone. The charm she'd given him, resting untouched beside his hand. You haven't worn it, she said softly. They say it was an excuse, he replied. The surprise. Her breath caught. Who says that? Everyone, Giyu said. not accusing, just tired. Shinobu's composure cracked then. Just a fracture. I didn't lie, she said. Not about that. I know, he answered. That was the worst part. He did believe her, but belief didn't silence the rumors. And it didn't erase the way people looked at Obani and Shinobu. Like they were already guilty of something more. Shinobu sank down across from him. I wanted to do something kind, she said. And somehow it turned into this. Giyu finally picked up the charm, turning it slowly in his fingers. Kind things, he said quietly. Shouldn't hurt this much. Outside, the whispers continued. Embellished, distorted, fed by half-seen moments and human boredom. And the truth small, fragile, and inconvenient was already losing. The courtyard was full too full for coincidence. Hashira. Attendants slies passing through. On purpose, all of them drawn by the tension that had been simmering for days. Shinobu stood at the center hands folded in her sleeves smiling pleasantly, which was how everyone knew she was angry. Before training begins, she said lightly, I'd like to correct something. The murmurs dialed. Shinobu's gaze moved calmly across the crowd lingering just long enough on the people who had been whispering the loudest. There have been rumors, she continued, that I am involved in an improper relationship with Iguro Obane. Obane stiffened where he stood. Jo felt his breath catch. Shinobu tilted her head. That is false double quotes clean. Immediate no hedging. My interactions with Igu Ro-san were limited. To assistance in acquiring a birthday gift for Tomioka Giyu, she said, gesturing slightly toward him, with his full cooperation and nothing more. A ripple went through the crowd. Any claims beyond that, Shinobu added, her smile sharpening, are inventions, not misunderstandings. Inventions. Someone shifted uncomfortably. I will also say this, she went on, voice still soft, still polite. Speculating about my private life or anyone else's during an active war effort is irresponsible double quotes that landed harder. And Shinobu finished eyes cool. Continuing to spread these rumors will result in reassignment away from the butterfly state permanently. Silence. Absolute. Then she bowed slightly. That is all double quotes She turned and walked away as if she hadn't just dismantled half the gossip network in one breath. Later, Giyu caught up to her near the wisteria trees. You didn't have to do that, he said. She stopped, didn't look at him. Yes, she replied, I did. He hesitated. People will talk anyway. Shinobu glanced back, expression unreadable. Let them. At least now, they'll be lying knowingly. He nodded once. Thank you. Her smile softened just a little. I meant what I said, she added. About the gift. About Obane. I know, Ju said. She studied him for a moment. Do you? Ju didn't answer right away. Because the rumors were gone, but the damage they'd done wasn't. And Shinobu, for all her precision, knew that shutting down lies was easier than fixing what they'd already broken. That night, the estate felt quieter than Adalda had in days. Too quiet. You found Shinobu on the veranda outside her room, sitting with her legs tucked to one side, a cup of tea cooling, untouched in her hands. The lantern light painted at soft shadows across her face, calmer now but worn. You embarrassed a lot butter people today, he said. I know, replied Shinobu. He sat beside her, leaving a careful distance between them. For a while, neither spoke. Crickets filled the space where rumors used to live. I didn't do it for appearances, Shinobu said at last. I did it because I was angry. At them? Giyu asked. At myself, she admitted. He turned to her then. For what? For thinking I could keep secrets without consequences, she said quietly. For underestimating how much it would hurt you. The words landed differently than her explanations bore. Less polished. More real. You could have told me it was a surprise, Giyu said, before it turned into this. I wanted to, she replied. Every time I looked at you, I almost did. She exhaled. But you always look like you're carrying something heavy already. ID, and single quotes to want to add to it. You did, she said not harshly. Just honestly, I know double quotes She set the tea aside, hands folding in her lap. Obane didn't mean for any of this to happen, but I should have seen how it looked. I should have protected you from that. Giyu looked down at his hands. What hurt wasn't just the rumors, he said. It was thinking Yudao chose to confide in someone else instead of me. Shinobu closed her eyes for a brief moment. I didn't choose him over you, she said. I chose ease, and that was wrong. The admission hung between them fragile, but sincere. He reached into his sleeve and took out the charm. The water pattern caught. The lantern light. I haven't worn it, he said, because I don't know what it meant anymore. Shinobu's breath hitched just slightly. Giyu held it out to her. Tell me. She looked at the charm then at him. It means I see you, she said. Even when you down Thingle talks, I think anyone does it means I wanted to give you something that said that without making you uncomfortable. He studied her face searching for cracks for deflection. There was none. Slowly, he fastened the charm back into his uniform himself. I don't need surprises, he said. I need honesty. Shinobu nodded. Then that's what I'll give you. They sat there together, not quite close, not quite distant, balanced on something not newly fragile. The rumors were gone, but trust, once shaken, isn't snapped back into place. It had to be rebuilt. Quietly. Carefully. Together, or not at all, it was Shinobu who broke. The stillness first. It's late, she said, glancing at the darkened paths of the estate, and I don't feel like walking back. Giyu understood what she was really saying. You can stay, he replied after a moment. She looked at him then, surprised, just slightly, and nodded. All right. His place was sparse, as always. Clean, almost bare. Shinobu took it in with a careful eye, like someone stepping into a space that revealed more than its owner ever would. You really live like this? She murmured. It's enough, Giyu said. She smiled faintly. You always say that double quotes. He set water to heat, while she removed her. Shish, or I folding it neatly instead of tossing it aside. The quiet between them with single quotes. Tense, any more just cautious. Like they were both afraid of moving too fast and undoing what they'd barely started to fix. When the tea was ready, they sat on opposite sides of the low table. This isn't an obligation, Giyu said. You don't have to stay. I know, Shinobu replied. I want to. That mattered. Later, when the lanterns burned low and conversation had softened into fragments, Shinobu paused by the doorway of the sleeping room. I don't sleep well lately, she admitted, not looking at him. If that's a problem. It's not, he said immediately. Then more quietly, you can take the futon. I'll stay here. She turned to him. No. One word. Firm. We'll both sleep, she said. Or at least try. Giyu hesitated, then nodded. That they lay on separate futons. A careful distance between them. No touching. No reaching out. Just the quiet awareness. Of another presence. Steady. Breathing. Real. After a long while, Shinobu. Spoke into the dark. I was afraid, she said, that after today, you'd still look at me like I was leaving. Giyu stared at the ceiling. I was afraid you already had. Another pause. I didn't, she said. I don't want to. He turned his head slightly, just enough to see her outline in the low light. Then stay, he said. Not just for the night, not just here. She didn't answer right away, but she didn't leave. Sometime before dawn. Exhaustion finally won. The space between them. Narrowed. Not by intention. But by sleep. When Giyu woke up briefly. By the sound of rain, he realized that Shinobu had turned. Towards him, her sleeve brushing his hand. She didn't pull away. Neither did he. And for the first time since the rumors began, the quiet didn't feel empty. It felt shared. The rain didn't stop. It softened instead, steady and quiet against the roof, until the sound blended. With breathing and the low. Creak of the house. Settling into the night. Shinobu was still awake. Giyu knew because she. Shifted beside him. Careful at first, like. She was testing whether he'd pull away. He didn't. He turned slightly. Toward her, the space. Between them narrowing, until their sleeves brushed again. Deliberate this time. Are you sure? He asked softly. She nodded in the dark. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. That was all the permission either of them needed. She moved closer, her forehead resting against his shoulder. Breath warm through the. Thin fabric of his uniform. Giyu hesitated only a second before lifting his arm, settling it. Around her back. Awkward, gentled, like he was afraid of doing it wrong. She let out a quiet breath. Relief. Trust. This isn't about fixing things, Shinobu murmured. I just don't want to be alone tonight. You're not, Giyu said. They shifted, slow and unhurried, until they were facing each other properly. No rush. No urgency. Just the steady awareness of. Each other, hands finding familiar places, foreheads touching, breaths sinking. When Shinobu finally closed. The distance completely. It felt inevitable rather than impulsive. There was no drama to it. No need for words, only closeness. The lantern burned low. The rain carried on outside, somewhere between shared warmth and shared silence. The night took care of the rest. By morning they woke tangled. In blankets and limbs, the world. Quiet and pale with early light. No regrets, no confusion. They were rebuilding. Now had crossed into. Something deeper. Something real. Morning came without ceremony. Pale light filtered. Through the paper screens, soft and unintrusive, like it was trying not to. Startle them. Giyu woke first. Still and silent out of habit. Aware of Shinobu beside him before he opened his eyes. She was there. Warm. Real. Not reaching for him. Not pulling away either. For once, nothing felt fragile. When Shinobu stirred, she didn't smile right away. She simply looked at him, unguarded in a way she rarely allowed herself to be. So, she said quietly, This changes things. Yes, Giyu answered just as softly, but not in the way rumors do. That earned a small, genuine smile. They didn't rush. They didn't pretend the Dot night had solved everything. Instead, they sat together over tea as the estate woke around them, speaking plainly about mistakes, about boundaries, about how boundaries, about how isolated silence could be misunderstood, and about choosing each other on purpose. When Shinobu finally stood to leave, she paused at the doorway. I won't hide anymore, she said. Not from you. Giyu nodded. And I won't assume the worst in the quiet. She stepped closer, pressed a brief kiss to his cheek. Simple, unmistakably real. The rumors faded. Obane stepped back. Life relentless as ever went on. But some things were different now. When people saw Cheyenne, Obu and Ju together after that, here were no whispers. Only an understanding that whatever had almost broken them had also forced them to be honest. Not perfect, just steady. And for two people who had lived so long surrounded by loss, that was enough. The end